Give me your top 3 receivers that are realistic for the Steelers, not as far as the draft as a whole. Is there a consensus one right now for the draft as a whole?
I'd say it's Cardinal Tate, pretty clearly. Yeah.
Okay. How about 1 through 3 that the Steelers could conceivably get?
I think 1 through 3 would probably be Jordan Tyson, KC Concepcion, and Omar Cooper. And I'll add a 4th in there because I think he needs to be in there. Denzel Boston.
Yeah.
So I think those 4 are your guys. Lemon still feels like he's going to go a little early for them, I think. I think he's going to go probably high teens, maybe even as high as like 11 to the Dolphins. Like, that's not crazy. So to me, you look at it and you say, all right, you kind of have these 4 guys. And Tyson could fall because of the durability concerns. He's been hurt every single year of his collegiate career. And then he has not worked out this process to alleviate those concerns. We've seen guys like Daniel Jeremiah kind of come out and talk about how he could fall, and I've heard pretty similar. So I don't think it's crazy. I think at one point people were like, there's no shot he makes it to 21 now. I mean, we could see some of these guys maybe go before him. Cooper's been the one guy that's just flown up boards. I mean, we're talking about a guy that went from a mid-round pick to now probably a guy that is going to be there at 21, but is certainly in play, but could even go earlier than that. Probably his range probably starts at, almost 13 maybe to the Rams, but I don't think he's going to go that early. But Concepcion's range starts there too. Boston, I think, is a clear step below these 3 in terms of where he'll go, but he could definitely go 24 to the Browns. I think he fits them. They need some size in that room.
Who's the best touchdown maker of them all?
I think the best pure route runner and separator, which is a guy that I consider creates explosive plays, is Concepcion. I think he is the best route runner of the 4. I think he's the second best after the catch. I think Cooper is the best after the catch. I think if you're looking for a showman that makes the flashy plays and can really wow you, that's Tyson.
Who's the best fit as far as a team that already has Pittman and Metcalf on it?
I think the good thing for the Steelers is I view all of Tyson, Cooper, and Concepcion as good fits. Boston, I think, is an atypical fit. But I think the best fit of them, personally, in terms of how you play off those 2, is probably Concepcion, just because he's a route winner. He's a man coverage guy. He can win after the catch. He's a returner. But Cooper also a returner, yak guy. Like, Cooper's gotten some Deebo Samuel comps, and if you get a young Deebo Samuel with those guys, that is a really good comparison. And then Tyson, he can just play anywhere, right? You just put him out there. He plays slot. He plays outside. He's a route winner, too. So all these guys are, like, good route runners, good after the catch, ball winners. I think Concepcion is just very fluid in terms of how he runs routes. I'll tell you this. When I look at KC Concepcion, I think people don't really give him credit for how good he is. The drop rate's going to scare people, and that's really what the knock on him is going to be. He had almost a 9% drop rate last year. But you look at the route running comparisons that he has in the NFL, and talk about some of the best route runners in the league. And there's a chance that if Concepcion finds consistency in his hands, and I don't think that's crazy to think, because I think a lot of it is focused rather than technique-based, which I think is the much more easy thing to fix than a technique deficiency. I think Concepcion has a chance to be, the surprise wide receiver 1 of this class. And I think that's the ceiling of him. And so I don't really look at a guy in this class and think guaranteed superstar. There's not a Jamar Chase in this class. But certainly Concepcion has the chance to be a guy that could be a Pro Bowler, and I don't think people are giving him enough credit for how good he is doing stuff outside of just catching the ball, which obviously is very important. But he has every tough thing on the wide receiver docket checked off. He can just improve that a little bit.
Yeah.
We have star potential here, into this guy.
Well, Denzel Boston is visiting with the Steelers today on a top 30 visit. How much do you think that matters in the Mike McCarthy era compared to the Tomlin era?
It's been weird this year, Austin. They've had like 1 or 2 first-round guys come in, so it's hard to say. I think based on what we know about Omar Khan and Andy Weil's front office, they matter a lot. They've drafted a lot of guys from these lists. Some of it might be medical, some of it may be character checkups, but a lot of these guys don't have either of them, so they're clearly interested in some of these guys. So I think it matters. Boston fits a lot of what Mike McCarthy likes in receivers, too. You look at size. He likes bigger targets. He's an old school coach, man. He likes big targets. He likes big bodies. He likes physicality. Just think about your old school football. That's what Mike McCarthy thinks of still. And so that is Denzel Boston. I actually did this last night. I just wanted to look up some of the guys that kind of fit into Mike McCarthy's kind of idea of a wide receiver. And you think about guys like Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams and even lower tier guys like, James Jones. And you look at Jordy Nelson, and I looked at the number 1 athletic comparison just physically. It was Denzel Boston. And so to me, I mean, that was just a little bit of an interesting find to me. But then you look at a guy like James Jones, too, and you kind of see there's Omar Cooper. Like, those guys fit a lot of what McCarthy wide receivers look like. And so, to me, those are the types of guys that I think they're going to be interested in. So I'm not surprised that they're bringing Boston in for a visit. He fits what McCarthy likes. I just think the fit's weird. He's an outside-only guy. He's not really a slot. Unless you're playing Pittman in the slot full-time, it's very weird. And I'm not sure you have a real route runner at that point. So it's kind of a weird fit to me with Boston. I think he's a good player. I just don't think it's a great fit.
Nick Farabaugh from PennLive.com. Sunny and a high of 43 today. Troy Polamalu, a low of 31. Donnie Shell. Fan weather brought to you by Secure Money Advisors. Looking to retire soon? Let Secure Money Advisors get your retirement on track. So who's the best actual, and we know who the top pick's going to be, Mendoza. Who's the best football player? Who's going to have the best career of this whole draft?
I've stood on this hill, and I still think it's going to be Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. There are rare guys at the off-ball linebacker position that can change a scheme, and he can do it. He's got everything. He's got strength. He's got athleticism. He's got the smarts. He's a three-down green dot linebacker. Him and Arvell Reese, those two guys out of Ohio State, because I think Reese is more of an off-ball than an edge, are going to be special players. I look at them, and they are true blue-chip talents. They just happen to play off-ball linebacker. And Sonny Styles is going to go later, than probably he should talent-wise. I still watch the tape and think he's the best player in this class. And the weird thing about this class is you have all these guys at non-premium positions, right? You don't really have a star at receiver. You don't really have a star at tackle. You have a lot of stars at running back, Jeremiah Love, safety, Caleb Downs, and then these off-ball linebackers. And to me, you just watch Styles, and he does everything well. He deconstructs blocks. He flows to the ball. He sees really what you really want in terms of the processing of it. Doesn't get fooled by play action or, pulls. He takes on pulls in the hole very strong. He has hands that are like that of an interior defensive lineman sometimes with how he stuns offensive linemen climbing to the second level. And he's fluid in space and good in coverage. Like, this is a guy that, his ceiling is best inside linebacker in the NFL. And so that's the type of player I think is just unbelievable. So I'm fully on the Sonny Styles train.
Wow. All right. Well, Nick, great stuff. We appreciate the time, man. And hopefully we can do this again in studio before the draft.
Yeah, anytime you guys want me on, just invite me in. I appreciate you having me on.
What if we invite Kabali at the same time?
I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. You and Kabali.
Me and Kabali debating would be fun. I like that idea.
Oh, that'd be a great idea. Can I ask Nick one more question?
Yeah, please.
It seems like Vanga Ioane, who I still can't pronounce from my own school, is getting more and more momentum to potentially be drafted by the Steelers. I saw Next Gen Stats in their ideal fits mock draft had the Steelers taking Ioane. Do you think that that there actually is growing momentum that could be the selection for the Steelers at 21?
Sure. I think if he's there at 21, the question is, does he get there? There's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. The Ravens number one on that. I think he could be a Baltimore Raven. If a guy's a Pittsburgh Steeler, he's also a Baltimore Raven. That's a fact of life. But Ioane is just such a plug-and-play guy. There's not a lot of questions about him. He's a easy fit in the Steelers scheme at left guard. He's a guy you plug in there. I've made this comparison a few times. If the Steelers landed Ioane, it would be very similar to the David DeCastro pick. That's exactly who it would be similar to. You would plug him in there and just not even worry about it for the next decade. I mean, he's a guy that's going to be here for a very long time. He's got a very high floor, but the ceiling isn't compromised. He's got great strength. He's a good athlete. He's very smart. He's about as good of a player as you can get at left guard, in the draft. So to me, it's not a Quentin Nelson prospect, but it's right below that. And so Ioane is the type of guy that if he makes the 21, absolutely makes a ton of sense. The real question is, does he get there? And I think that's a real question that we don't know yet. But if he gets past 14 with the Ravens, real shot he is there. So if that happens, I think that's a real consideration for them.